You've survived another week. Thank you for listening, downloading, and supporting If I Died Tonight. I want you to hold on to hope. That's the theme for today. We're going to talk a little faith, a little hope, and give you the bio of a guy, a soldier, that they made a movie about named Desmond Doss. All this and a little extra coming up next. Speak Life Church Incorporated presents If I Died Tonight. All right, I am trying to get the show notes up on ifidiedpodcast.com, which may have happened before you see this or may not. Pray for a brother, will you? I'm hoping that you're doing all right. Thank you for listening. Just in case you missed something I mumbled over, or you were driving or on the treadmill or somewhere, the show notes and the links should be in whatever podcast player that you're listening to this thing. And if not, you can always go back to the website, ifidiedpodcast.com. To all my people in the struggle, those born in the late 80s and 90s, you've grown up with what we used to call science fiction. It's fact for you. You've seen nothing but war during your generation, and adults behaving badly. Your faith in humanity is skeptical at best, and your belief in an invisible God even less. And if you served in combat or on the mean streets in law enforcement as an adult, you have even less faith in humanity. Scandals and corruption, politics, greed in churches has made you either leave organized religion or church altogether. Raise your hand if I'm on your street. I'm here to share with you that God is real, and He isn't that person that's portrayed in the movies or in media. He isn't respected, feared, or loved like He deserves, but He is. If you're going through a tough time, there is no greater power than God and hope. There are a couple of things that you won't learn in military or college. They are the meaning of your life, your mission in this life, and how you'll be able to do your best in it. There have been billions of us on this planet, all with the same type struggles. Nothing is new. What we as a people fail to do, however, is share our struggles so that the next person doesn't feel isolated, a failure, or worse. The only way to have a sense that the world has meaning and is not just some randomness or emptiness is to have a belief. Even unbelief is a choice. A belief in humanity is probably what you already have, and it will fail you because people are fallible. And there are other organized worldviews that come and go. I am a fan of God. It helps me. It gives me a sense to adversity when it comes. It gives me a sense of purpose and a reason to be on this earth. Our purposes evolve over our lifetime, our lifespans, and we change. A belief in God connects me to others and something larger than myself. Life is one thing over and over. It's a bunch of cycles. What's odd is everybody that lives to adulthood goes through this, but nobody shares what happened to them. The cycles of life present themselves and play themselves out. One of the keys is to not try to get caught up in whatever's going on in your story at the moment. No storm lasts forever. And if you've been in the same place for a long time, there's something else going on. The other thing you need to know about is hope. Now, the dictionary's definition makes hope seem close to a wish. And it says to cherish a desire with anticipation to want something to happen or be true. Whatever the details, hope in general means a desire for things to change for the better and to want that better situation very much. I am not into wishing. The definition of hope can differ depending on who's talking about it. But when you hear me talk about hope, it's in the spiritual context. It means believing good things will happen with faith in God. To have hope is to want an outcome that makes your life better in some way. It not only can help make a tough present situation more bearable, but also can eventually improve your life because envisioning a better future will motivate you to take the steps to make it happen. Whether we think about it or not, hope is a part of everybody's life. Everyone hopes for something. It's an inherent part of being human. Hope helps us define what we want in our futures and is part of the self-narrative about our lives we all have running inside our heads. Hope is the belief things will work, especially when it seems otherwise. It helps you stay calm and peaceful when something less desirable happens. Hope believes you'll get through it. Hope reminds you about the times that you made it through in the past. Hope teamed with faith and belief can get you to the future. In a way, having hope links your past and present to the future. You have a vision for what you hope will happen. Whether it does or not, just envisioning it can make you feel better. Raise your hand if you believe that. And it's something that you can take control of. Like poor kids working to get out of poverty. Their hope can motivate them to take the steps to make it happen. Hold on to hope. Suicide doesn't end the chances of life getting worse. It just eliminates the possibility of it ever getting better. If you're thinking that ending your life will stop the pain, you're wrong. If you think you won't be missed or the world is better off without you, you're wrong. Everything we go through in this life is temporary. If you're going through hell right now, don't stop. Keep going. You need to keep moving. Find the solution, the cure, the answer, get the tech, discover the way, whatever. Just remember, there is no permanent solution like suicide for a temporary problem. And I'm hoping you got this message. If you are in crisis, call the toll-free National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All calls are confidential, or you can hit them online at suicidepreventionlifeline.org. All right, I said a whole bunch right there, but I want just to transition just a little bit and give you one of the stories which motivated me to start this podcast. Have you seen Hacksaw Ridge? Like, my wife doesn't like war movies, so she wouldn't sit still. But this thing was life-changing for me. It's a true story about a soldier whose convictions were so strong that it was nothing less than miraculous of what happened. I know plenty of veterans that I served with that were just like that. That were crazy looking, crazy acting on the outside. But they were a whole bunch more. And then later, when I was in law enforcement, I met folks that, man, they were some partying animals. But if something went down, they were at your side. And on the inside, they had some stuff they had to deal with. They were fighting some demons of their own. But they made it through. And you can too. Here's a story of a guy by the name of Desmond Doss. On April 1st, 1942, Desmond Doss joined the United States Army. Little did he realize that 3.5 years later, he would be standing on the White House lawn, receiving the nation's highest award for his bravery and courage under fire. Of the 16 million men in uniform during World War II, only 431 received the Congressional Medal of Honor. One of these was placed around the neck of a young Seventh-day Adventist who, during combat, had not killed a single enemy soldier. In fact, he refused to carry a gun. His only weapons were his Bible and his faith in God. President Harry S. Truman warmly shook the hand of Corporal Desmond Thomas Doss, and then held it the entire time his citation was read aloud to those gathered outside the White House on October 12, 1945. "I'm proud of you," Truman said. "You really deserve this. I consider this a greater honor than being president." The journey that had brought young Desmond to this day had been a challenging one. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, he was working at the Newport News Naval Shipyard and could have requested a deferment, but he wanted to do more for his country. He was willing to risk his life on the front lines in order to preserve freedom. When he joined the Army, Desmond assumed that his classification as a conscientious objector would not require him to carry a weapon. He wanted to be an Army combat medic. As luck would have it, he was assigned to an infantry rifle company. His refusal to carry a gun caused a lot of trouble among his fellow soldiers. They viewed him with disdain and called him a misfit. One man in the barracks warned, "Doss, as soon as we get into combat, I'll make sure you don't come back alive." His commanding officers also wanted to get rid of the skinny Virginian who spoke with a gentle southern drawl. They saw him as a liability. Nobody believed a soldier without a weapon was worthwhile. They tried to intimidate him, scold him, assign him extra tough duties, and declared him mentally unfit for the Army. Then they attempted to court-martial him for refusing a direct order to carry a gun. But they failed to find a way to talk, and he refused to leave. He believed his duty was to obey God and serve his country. But it had to be in that order. His unwavering convictions were most important. Desmond had been raised with a fervent belief in the Bible. When it came to the 10 Commandments, he applied them personally. During childhood, his father had purchased a large frame picture at an auction, and it portrayed the 10 Commandments with colorful illustrations. Next to the words, "Thou shalt not kill," was a drawing of Cain holding a club and standing over the body of his dead brother Abel. Little Desmond would look at that picture and ask, why did Cain kill Abel? How in the world could a brother do such a thing? In Desmond's mind, God said, "If you love me, you won't kill." With that picture firmly embedded in his mind, he determined that he would never take a life. However, there was another commandment that Desmond took just as seriously as the 6th. It was the Fourth Commandment. His religious upbringing included weekly church attendance on the 7th day. The Army was exasperated to discover that he had yet another personal requirement. He asked for a weekly pass so he could attend church every Saturday. This meant 2 strikes against him. His fellow soldiers saw him as a Bible-reading Puritan, as being totally out of sync with the rest of the Army. So they ostracized him, bullied him, called him awful names, and cursed at him. His commanding officers also made his life difficult. Things began turning around when the men discovered that this quiet, unassuming medic had a way to heal the blisters on their marching, wearying feet. If someone fainted from heat stroke, this medic was out on his side, offering his own canteen. Desmond never held a grudge. With kindness and gentle courtesy, he treated those who had mistreated him. He lived the golden rule: do to others what you would have them do to you, as it says in Matthew 7:12. Desmond served in combat on the islands of Guam, Leyte, and Okinawa. In each military operation, he exhibited extraordinary dedication to his fellow men. While others were taking life, he was busy saving life. When the cry, "Medic!" rang out on the battlefield, he never considered his own safety. He repeatedly ran into the heat of battle to treat a fallen comrade and carry him back to safety. All this while enemy bullets whizzed past and mortar shells exploded around him. Several times while treating a wounded soldier, Desmond was so close to enemy lines he could hear the whispering of Japanese voices. In May 1945, as German troops were surrendering on the other side of the world, Japanese troops were fiercely defending to their last man the only remaining barrier, Okinawa and Maeda Escarpment, to an Allied invasion of their homeland. The men of Desmond's division were repeatedly trying to capture the Maeda Escarpment, an imposing rock face the soldiers called Hacksaw Ridge. After the company had secured the top of the cliff, the Americans were stunned when suddenly enemy forces rushed them in a vicious counterattack. Officers ordered an immediate retreat. Soldiers rushed to climb back down the steep cliff. All the soldiers, except one. Less than 1/3 of the men made it back down. The rest lay wounded, scattered across enemy soil, abandoned and left for dead, if they weren't already. One lone soldier disobeyed orders and charged back into the firefight to rescue as many of his men as he could, before he either collapsed or died trying. His iron determination and unflagging courage resulted in at least 75 lives saved that day, May 5th, 1945, his Sabbath. Eventually, the Americans took Hacksaw Ridge. Okinawa was captured inch by bloody inch. Several days later, during the unsuccessful night raid, Desmond was severely wounded, hiding in a shell hole with 2 riflemen. A Japanese grenade landed at his feet. The explosion sent him flying. The shrapnel tore into his leg and up to his hip. He treated his own wounds as best he could. While attempting to reach safety, he was hit by a sniper's bullet that shattered his arm. His brave actions as a combat medic were done, but not before insisting that his litter bearers take another man first before rescuing him. Wounded, in pain, and losing blood, he still put others ahead of his own safety. He would choose to die so another could live. After all, that's what he read in his Bible. Such was the character demonstrated by Jesus Christ. In addition to his Medal of Honor, Desmond Doss received a Bronze Star for valor with 1 oak leaf cluster, which signifies he received 2 bronze stars, Purple Heart with 2 oak leaf clusters, signifying he received 3 Purple Hearts. The Asiatic Pacific Campaign Medal with 3 bronze stars, and a beachhead arrow, signifying he served in 4 combat campaigns, including an amphibious landing under combat conditions, the Good Conduct Medal, the American Defense Campaign, and the not-so-common Presidential Unit Citation given to the 1st Battalion, 370th, 77th Infantry Division for securing the Maida Escarpment. The Medal of Honor was established during the Civil War under President Abraham Lincoln in 1862. At the 100th anniversary in 1962, the year I was born, the other recipients of that award selected Desmond Doss to represent them at a White House ceremony, and he had a pleasant chat with President John F. Kennedy. Before being discharged from the Army in 1946, Desmond developed tuberculosis. He would spend most of the next 6 years in hospitals. Cold, wet, sleepless nights, shivering in a muddy foxhole on the islands of the Pacific had taken its toll. As the illness progressed, his left lung had to be surgically removed along with 5 ribs. For the rest of his life, he survived on a single lung until it too failed. At the age of 87, Corporal Desmond Thomas Doss died on March 23, 2006, after being hospitalized with difficulty breathing. He is buried in the National Cemetery at Chattanooga, Tennessee. When I look over my email list and people that I have been talking to for the last 20 years because of the Black Man with a Gun Show podcast or Speak Life Church, I see a lot of heroes and sheroes too. I see people who have overcome some good stuff that can take you out, but you're still here. Reminds me of the Psalm of David, 121 verses 5 through 7. It says, "The Lord watches over you. The sun will not burn you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life." I just want you to hold on to hope, whatever form that is for you. All right? I'm still working on the If I Died podcast.com. Still has a few bugs in it, still working on it. But let me know what you think about these past 3 episodes. Each one of them is a little bit different, and I'm trying to get better, y'all. Would love to hear your feedback. You can email me at pastor@speaklifechurch.net, ken.blanchard@gmail.com, or blackmanwithagun@gmail.com. Any way you can, it'll come to me. All right? Just in case nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Let's connect. Stay in the fight. Shalom, baby. Thank you in advance for support of this project and this podcast through our Patreon links, Givelify, or through any manner of your choosing to Speak Life Church Incorporated.